Caseus. Clone Wars. Part 3. The Oracle. Chapter 2. Sleep was out of the question now for Caseus. As soon as the briefing ended, he returned to his quarters and gathered anything he might need. R3 woke from his rest mode and beeped happily. Of course you're coming with. I promised you, didn't I? It may not be that exciting, but at least you'll be along for the ride. I'm surprised you picked up on droid speak so quickly. Master Takai walked into the room. Took me a few years before I got it down. It's not too hard when you get the basic phrases down. Master, why did you volunteer me for this mission? I thought that was obvious. Your training is nearing the point where I have little else to teach you, Caseus. I've talked with a few members of the Council, and after serious consideration, I've come to a decision pending the Council's approval. If this mission proves successful, I will be formally putting in a request for you to face the trials. Caseus nearly dropped his datapad. Are you serious? Don't get too optimistic, Caseus. The Council still has the final say in these matters. And even though this mission is straightforward on the surface, you are headed to a planet we know very little about. There could be threats there that we don't know about. So why me? I seem to have a habit of getting into sticky situations. True, but you've more than shown your resourcefulness when under pressure. With Sarah alongside you and a platoon of our men, I have no doubt that you can handle it. I won't always be able to accompany you off-world. This is a big step in showing the Council that you're ready to become a Jedi. Caseus thought over his master's words. She really seemed to have faith in him. I won't let you down, Master. I know you won't. Now you better go find Sarah. Your transport will be arriving in an hour. Try to get some rest on the ship. I can tell you haven't been sleeping well lately. I'll try. Good. Now get going. I'll see you when you return. Okay. May the Force be with you, Master. Caseus gathered his things and went downstairs, accompanied by R3. Arriving at the landing dock, Caseus saw that the sun was starting to peek over the horizon. The transport craft would be arriving any minute. Sarah soon arrived with her things. You ready? If it gets me out of Draleg's lessons for a few days, I'm all for it. Come to think of it, this is our first mission together since the war started. I think you're right. Hopefully it's not the last time. I doubt it. I'm not seeing an end in sight. Just think, the way things are going now, we'll probably be masters by the time this war ends. Ugh, don't talk like that. I want to see this whole thing done as soon as possible. The longer we fight, the worse the outcome for everyone, including us. Good point. So, R3 is coming with? Of course. Can't leave him behind to cause trouble, can we? The transport arrived shortly after and set down on the landing pad. The ramp opened and Caseus was surprised to see a familiar clone. Commander, good to see you again. Juro, it's been too long. Caseus returned Juro's salute. You must be Sarah Cateau. It's an honor to serve under you. The pleasure is all mine, Trooper. Shall we prepare for departure? Right away. Keep the engines hot, brothers. Caseus, Sarah, and R3 boarded the transport and sat down. Within minutes, they were airborne, making their way to the clouds above. So, how's the medical division been treating you, Juro? It's tough. There's always wounded men who need help. But I'm doing the best I can. So why are you here and not with the other medics? I was requested by General Takai personally. Given my history with Commander Urshon, she figured it would be a smart move. Besides, our division has seen a decrease in wounded soldiers for the past 2 weeks, so this was a mission I could afford to take. Well, we're glad to have you with us. How many of our men are accompanying us? Including myself, 12. Enough firepower to keep us safe, and small enough to keep this mission a secret from prying eyes. That's good. We should be more than well equipped for the task at hand. Caseus? You okay? Caseus looked at her. His eyes had started to glaze over while Juro spoke. We should try to get some rest, sir. Even traveling through hyperspace, it'll be a few hours before we arrive. Yeah, you're right. Just wake me if you need me. Will do. Caseus leaned his head back and closed his eyes. The soft rumble of the ship and the quiet buzzing of the controls soon lulled him to a very light slumber. As he slept, He tried to release his fears and anxieties like Master Yoda told him to do. Slowly, ever so slowly, he fell into a deep sleep. As he slept, he dreamed. He saw open fields of healthy, prosperous grain under an overcast sky. In the far distance, a village. He tried to move closer, but every step forward brought him further and further away until the village became nothing but a speck in his eye. All around him, the once healthy crops lie dead and decaying. The cloudy sky now covered the land in complete darkness. As he looked around, he saw nothing. Nothing but a dark figure in the distance moving towards him. He tried to run, but he couldn't escape it. It grew closer and closer until it stood mere feet from him. It was a girl. A girl he'd never seen before. She held out her hand to him. Slowly, Caseus reached for her hand. Caseus! Caseus! Caseus opened his eyes. He was back on the ship. Are you okay? You were stirring a bit. Yeah, I'm okay. Just a dream. Bad? I don't know. Well, at least you got some sleep. We'll be there in less than an hour. Okay. Caseus got up and walked over to the comm table and entered Corbin's channel code. Corbin, this is Caseus. Do you copy? There was no answer from Corbin's end. Corbin, please, talk to me. I'm really worried about you. No answer came. Just dead silence. Caseus sighed and ended the transmission, sitting next to Sarah. It's going to be okay, Caseus. If something happened to Corbin, we would have been told. I know. I know. We'll see him before too long. I know it. Caseus nodded, but inside he wasn't so sure. Every time he had seen Corbin after deployment, he looked worse and worse. If he did see him again, Caseus wasn't sure he'd like to see the state he was in. An hour passed, and Caseus and Sarah got their gear ready.
Commander, we've reached Kelter.
Are you picking up anything on the scanners?
Massive signs of life, but no signs of civilization.
Caseus stepped towards the scanners and looked at the planet. Sarah, do you feel that? Yeah. There's something down there. It's like a storm of energy.
Our scanners aren't detecting any unusual weather patterns.
Not a physical stormtrooper. It's like a wellspring of force energy. That's where we need to head. The northern pole.
Setting coordinates. There's a lot of forest and vegetation. We may need to do some trekking. I'll try to get us as close as we can. Everyone strap in.
Caseus sat in his seat and strapped himself in as a thick layer of clouds and fog enveloped the ship as it made its way to the planet below. When the fog cleared, Caseus was amazed. He had never seen so many trees in his life. He could feel the energy of all the living creatures in every plant. It was almost overwhelming. It's beautiful. Sarah looked in awe at the landscape as the ship set down in a clearing.
Atmosphere breathable. Temperatures are temperate. We're good to go.
The landing ramp opened and Caseus stepped off the shuttle with Sarah, R3, and the clones following close behind. Juro stepped over to Caseus and put his helmet on.
So, where to, Commander?
Caseus looked up at one of the trees and leapt up from branch to branch until he reached the top. All he could see for miles were the tops of trees, but in the distance he noticed something as the fog cleared. A massive tree, larger than any he had seen before. If it weren't for the leaves, he would have mistaken it for a mountain. The energy he had felt on the ship was gravitating towards that tree. Leaping down, Caseus landed beside Juro and Sarah. There's an enormous tree, about 50 clicks northwest of our current position. That's where we need to go.
Better get moving then. Stay close. We don't want anyone getting lost out here. Kenji, Maka, you two gonna be okay here at the ship? Don't worry about us. We've got things under control here.
You wanted to come, remember? We're gonna have to do a bit of hiking. Come on. They started to make their way into the forest, accompanied by Juro and 9 troopers. Caseus felt somewhat secure, and with Sarah and R3 along for the ride, things would go smoothly, assuming they all stuck together. This planet, after all, hadn't been colonized, or even properly surveyed by the Republic. There could be any number of dangers within the trees. Caseus? Yeah? Do you think we can trust what this person has to say? Someone strong enough in the Force to call out to us. Why didn't she contact us sooner? Maybe she didn't want to. A lot of species live solitary lives. It's possible she's one of them. Maybe. It just feels like something is off. I feel it too. But until we figure out what that is, all we can do is stay focused on the task at hand. I suppose. Caseus and the others spent the better half of the day making their way through the forest. Every so often they would come across indigenous wildlife, but nothing yet that had threatened their progress. The suns of the planet soon set, and it was too dark to continue. Setting up camp, the clones stood on guard, working in shifts as Caseus and Sarah sat beside the heating lamps. Caseus was glad he had brought his robe. As warm as it was when they arrived, the air was now cold and muggy. Sarah sat close to Caseus, who stared into the lamp as tiny insects danced around it. We should get some sleep. We need to get moving again at first light. Sarah, thanks for coming with me. I feel a lot better knowing you've got my back. Sarah smiled and took Caseus by his hand. You can always count on me. Someone has to keep you out of trouble, right? Caseus smiled and took her hand as well.
Commander?
Caseus and Sarah quickly turned towards Juro, letting go of each other's hands.
We've scanned the area. We should be safe here for a few hours. Get some rest. We'll wake you when it's time to get moving.
Right. Thanks, Juro. Caseus and Sarah laid out their mats and lied down. It wasn't comfortable, but they soon found themselves dozing off to the tranquil sounds of the forest. Meanwhile, Kenji and Mucker sat outside the ship by a small fire, clearly enjoying the break from duty.
So I told them, if you're half as good a shot as you say you are, then hit that old evaporator over there. And what happened? Get this, he fired 7 times before he hit the damn thing. Top shot. Should have called him misfire. Yeah, but the best part is...
A rustling came from the trees nearby.
Did you hear that? Hear what?
Something's out there.
Nah, you're just being paranoid.
I don't know. Maybe we should get back to the ship.
Kenji, relax. There hasn't been anything out there all day.
I'm just saying I heard something, and I don't want to stick around here.
Oh, please, look. I'll prove it to you.
Mucker got up and walked over to the tree line.
Mucker, come on. Let's just get in the ship and go to bed. Nope. Nothing over here.
Mucker.
Nothing here either. See, your brain is playing tricks on...
Mucker looked down and saw a green blade of plasma emerging from his chest. The last thing he heard was the sound of searing flesh as the blade moved swiftly upward through his head.
Mucker!
From out of the shadows, another blade appeared. This one a deep blue. They began to spin in circles slowly and crept forward. Kenji fired at the figure, but his blasts were swatted away like flies. The firelight now illuminated the face of General Grievous.
Peekaboo!
Kenji tried to fire another shot, but his hand was swiftly grabbed by the general's clawed foot and crushed mercilessly. Kenji screamed as the droid general lifted him to face level.
Scream! Beg for mercy! Amuse me!
Kenji cried out in horror as the spinning blades moved closer to his face. He saw no more. The laughter of the vile General Grievous, the last thing he would ever hear.